Yo, hello. Hello, how's my audio sounding, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the TBShow. Happy Tuesday to everybody. I know you guys are probably getting sick of seeing my face here at the live stream situation. Couple things before I introduce our guest today. Want to give a shout out to everyone who's been coming out to the Tuesday night rides. We got one tonight, 5 p.m. Show up at 544 Park Ave. Bring a helmet and some lights. Also, Affinity is having a bicycle sale, as well as a bunch of used bikes, and some friends are bringing some used bikes over. So be sure to check that out. That's on Saturday from 2 to 6. Other than that, I think that's all the normal stuff, other than we do got this. Let me see if I can throw this in here. How does this work? Yeah, boom. We got these Line Beanies in the store. I've had help trying to put these new product out once a week. So we finally have some Line embroidered. It's 3 colors, it's 2 inches by 4 inches, and a sample is coming soon. If you guys hear my audio sounds a little off today, I'm using a different mic than I normally use, and my voice is going to sound terrible, but our guest voice is going to sound great. So with that being said, TV show number 12 with Kirk Boone. Kurt is here. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself, Kurt?
Well, first I'd like to say thank you to Terry for hosting me and putting me on his show. It's kind of amazing. I've been checking out the show on YouTube and getting into some of the episodes, and it's pretty nice. I kind of like the whole format, and so I'm real excited to be on the show. But as Terry mentioned, my name is Kirk Boone. I guess I'll tell my age. I'm 60 years old. I run the brand Messenger A41, and people don't know that I'm that old, but that said, that's what it is, so I'll say that up front. So I'm kind of like a cultural historian, street culture specifically. I've been writing since high school, so I started documenting street culture, I guess like from 1978 and to where I'm at today. But let me take it way back to when my dad gave me a bicycle. For some reason, this sticks in my head, right? I was 6 years old. My family just moved to a house in Queens. And my dad dropped a brand new tricycle on me, right? So I'm like blown away, man. And I'm on, the block that I'm on is pretty long. So I'm riding feverishly on this tricycle, 6 years old out in Queens, Jamaica, Queens. And from that moment on, I just became this cat in the bicycles. I was always like a front row seat in front of the television for the Tour de France. I was just watching that like all the time, every year, come on, But I never kind of went to wanting to be a racing cyclist. I just didn't, in my neighborhood, I didn't see that kind of personality where you could race bikes. It just wasn't there. It was basketball, track and field, baseball. Those are the kind of sports I played, and I was pretty good at all of them. But, I did like bicycles. So I rode bikes, all kind of bikes, all the way through, up to high school where the bike went in the garage. But that said, I went through a lot of different bikes. I never got a Stingray, but I always wanted a Stingray. I never got a Swin, but always wanted a Swin. My dad would buy these off-brand bikes that I would, he would buy cheap bikes that, I would ride. But I did, I became a paper boy when I was about 10 or 11 and, did the whole paper boy thing on my bike, and that was mad cool. And then as I got into high school, I bought a bunch of 10-speed bikes on my own, kind of saved up my money, and I was doing vending at Yankee and Shea Stadium. So that's a little bit about my relationship with like bicycles and stuff and just riding for fun. But that said, I was a track star, ran track. I was on my high school basketball team, and I was kind of like an athlete, And so after high school, the bikes went in the garage, and I started getting into cars. So fast forward to, I would say, into my messenger life, which was around, I would guess, what year was it? It was like, I can't think of the year. It was just prior to 9/11. But I was doing messenger work and still doing some documentation on street culture, mainly hip hop and poetry and books and stuff. But that said, we'll get to my books later. In 2000, I just started seeing like folks looking like messengers. And by the way, I was a foot messenger, so let's say that up front. I got to be a foot messenger because these companies back in the 80s, they would advertise for track stars to be fast foot messengers because they needed cats to be fast, but you needed to be streetwise. So that said, when I got to like 2000, 2001, had already did 4 years as a foot messenger from 1990 to 1994. I was working for a company called Rapid Messenger Service. And there's a whole story there, but I won't get into what was happening at Rapid Messenger for now, because that at Rapid Messenger was like also early hip hop. We were delivering packages for these labels that would become well-known labels in the music industry. And when I was at Rapid from 1990 to 94, I knew some bike messengers, not a lot. We saw them, but at Rapid, the owner didn't want to use bike messengers, so it was just all foot messengers and drivers, basically. And we just saw the bike messengers in passing, But I didn't really start seeing the bike messengers seeing me personally until like 2000, when this company I worked for, Excel, had bike messengers on their team. So, but that said, let me get to sum it up for you guys, because I don't want to go too long about my whole career, because you might have some questions about that, and I can answer specifically. But just to sum it up, Messenger 841 is kind of a streetwear brand I developed in 2000 off being inspired by messenger culture. And then from there, I've been selling that for a while, doing a whole bunch of collaborations, with different brands. And then I started putting out books about bike messenger culture and messenger culture itself. So one of the first books I put out was a book about Grand Central, which was a photo book about me being a messenger inside Grand Central. And I wrote the essay, and I had a photographer named John Sosgard take the photographs. And then at a messenger party, I had a chance to meet Amy and Squid Bolger, and also Victor Umar and J.C. Ramirez. And so it was actually the first kind of messenger party I went to. But I was talking to them. I was telling them, hey, yo, I'm doing all these different things as a foot messenger. And they would say, oh, yo, that's cool. And then they were telling me some stuff they were doing. And from there, I just started, networking with Squid and Amy, and eventually doing a book about early alley cat racing called New York Alley Cats, which is really a cool book we put together. It's really about the infancy of alley cat racing. It includes photos from Amy Bolger, we had some words from Squid wrote like an essay, and then we had illustrations by Greg Ugale. And that book kind of takes you into the early days of alley cat racing, when it was just bike messengers racing each other, you know, in different cities. This one particularly was New York, so it's heavily focused on New York and bike messenger photos from the late 90s and the 2000s. And it's a very cool book. We collaborated on that. And then I had a chance to, during these early days with Squid and Amy, like I mentioned, Victor Umar and JC at the time, they were doing Monster Track. And I had a chance to bring some of my assets and marketing to Monster Track. And that was Monster Track 6. And I've been involved behind the scenes with Monster Track 6 for, I don't know, we up to Monster Track 21. So, you know, I've been behind the scenes working that, and we could talk a little bit about, you know, my experience working behind the scenes with Monster Track. So it's a long kind of story. My career, you know, it really takes people into street culture, and I have my books and I have my clothing line, and I kind of leave it at that, and see what Terry has, what questions you guys have for me would kind of be fun. My newest book, which will be out in a couple of months, is my second version of the culture of messenger bags. I started documenting messenger bags like 10 years ago. I kind of like different kind of messenger bags and how messengers love their bags. It's like, it's just part of your gear. But each messenger has their own way of handling their bags, and many messengers design their bags in a lot of different ways. And then you have these bag makers that customize bags for messengers. So the first edition came out last year. It went really well. So this next edition will be out in a couple of months. You'll be able to kind of get it. And as we get into this, I'll say that all my books that are current are available on my website. You can find my website through my Instagram, which is pretty easy. It's at messenger, then the number 841. So it's at messenger 841, and you can, from that Instagram, you can find all my materials. So that said, that's kind of like a long story about me, but let's get into it.
Well, I got some questions. First of all, can you explain what the difference that you see? Like, you come from, obviously you used to ride bikes when you were younger. What's the difference between you being a foot messenger and a regular messenger? Like, how does that, what's the difference? I mean, other than the obvious, you're on foot, you know what I mean? Like what is,
okay,
what's the goal?
The biggest
there?
difference is what the customer is asking for. So customers of messenger companies, they request a messenger, right? And they'll request a specific kind of messenger, specifically in New York. So if you go to Europe, you may not have customers asking for foot messengers because there aren't that many. But specifically in New York, there's a lot of, well, not a lot, but there's three kind of primarily messengers when you work with a messenger company here in New York, what the customer is looking for. First, the customer could ask, okay, we're looking for a driver with a van that could rush some photography equipment from New York to Connecticut in 3 hours, right? So that's a request, right? So that's a specific request. You need a car, you need a van, you need somebody to lift some equipment, okay? Next request could be, oh, you know what? Ralph Lauren, I have a whole bunch of garment bags. I need it rushed from Wall Street to Harlem. Can you get it there in an hour? So can you use a foot messenger that's going to carry those garment bags, hop on a train, and rush it up to 125th Street, right?
Now, are you saying, let me just start,
Sure.
interrupt real quick. Are you saying sometimes a foot messenger is asked to take a certain product or thing because maybe you could be more delicate with the things, or is it something else?
Yeah, it could be more delicate. I've handled $50,000, $80,000 dresses, so you can't put them in your bag and squish it into a knot. It just doesn't work. So there are a lot of customers that ask for foot messengers for certain jobs, But generally,
we also have people in the comments saying that you get it done faster than most bike messengers, and you're on foot.
Yeah, because I'm a veteran, so I've been on the street a long time, so I can knock stuff out pretty quickly because I know the streets, I know the rails, and I'm foot. Again, I was a track star, so I could run 100 yards in 10 seconds. So I have a lot of speed, but it's used for being on the foot. So I'm pounding the pavement. So in other words, I'm rushing, but I can't knock pedestrians down, right? I gotta be able to go through pedestrians, not knock people over, not push people away on the subway. Even though I'm rushing, I can't. You got to deal with, and you have traffic. You're in the streets too. You're not like in the streets like the bike, but you're definitely in the streets. So you gotta be able to negotiate, that with speed. There are messenger companies in New York that only use foot couriers, right? Because of certain legal things, but foot couriers are fast, and generally a messenger timeline. So if you're a customer and you say, okay, I want to hire a messenger service, usually a job is done in 90 minutes, whether it's a driver, a foot courier, or a bike. So that's basically standard, across the board, right? But certain things, a dispatcher is going to give it to a foot guy, depending on what the thing is. But also the customers that play here. I try to emphasize people who want to understand the messenger industry. You got to understand the customers that play. You may not see that customer, but they're at play and they're directing what's happening on the streets.
And that brings me to my next question. Can you guys? I guess you guys can still hear me. What is the company you work for? Do you own your own company, or are you working for?
Okay, so currently I'm working for a company out of Boston, about 20 hours a week, part-time, and it's called Fly Over the City. So they have one dispatcher in New York, but most of the dispatchers are in Boston, and I work for them. They have I don't know how many bikers they have in New York, but it's not that many. It's a very small company. Maybe they got like 15 bikers, and maybe like 1 or 2 walkers. Well, I'm foot, so they call me walker as well. But I don't know how many walkers they have, but it's not that many. And then they have a couple of drivers. So it's a very small outfit in New York. And then their main outfit is in Boston.
Got it. So my first time seeing you around was at a couple of messenger events. I think I saw you at a Chrome's gathering for the first time, and I had just moved here. And you gave me your card, and I was like, who is this guy? And then you look familiar to me, you know what I mean? And I didn't know why. And then I realized later, because I saw a documentary that a friend had shot with you, and it was, I don't know, I felt like I already knew you from the documentary. So how you also were talking about your book that came out last year. Was it last year? It was last year.
Yeah, last year was a book about messenger bags, the culture of messenger bags. So as I mentioned, I've been documenting messenger bags for like 10 years. And so I was up in Montreal. I always wanted to do a book about messenger bags. I couldn't figure out how or when I wanted to do it. But I was up in Montreal a couple of years ago, and I was at the Messenger World Championships, the Cycle Messenger World Championships. and I saw this bag. It was from a messenger from Indonesia. And I saw this bag. I said, wow, that bag is amazing. And from there, I said, in my mind, I said, okay, I'm gonna follow this messenger around. He didn't know I was doing it, but I followed him, taking pictures of his bag, right?
Yeah.
But in my mind, I knew that was the bag that's gonna launch this book ideal I have. And it turned out to be a very incredible bag because it helped launch this book that took a life of its own. I'm almost up to 300 copies. So 300 copies now.
Is that the cover?
Yes, that's the cover
of the book.
All right.
This is the book he's talking about. Right
So it's loaded with patches and stuff. So if you look at it, they got, obviously you gotta get the book, but you see like all these like incredible patches on the back, and you see the Montreal tag for the race tag, but he's got patches from TCB. He's got a MASH patch on it. He's got a 60/40 messenger patch. So it's like, okay, this guy, he's a messenger culture, but he's from Indonesia. So that tells you how far the culture is, and I'm in Montreal. Now get this, the bag was handmade in Budapest. So it's a Bagaboo bag, which is a brand, a handmade bag company started by ex-messenger called Bagaboo, and they make handmade bags. So the bag was made in Budapest, got shipped to Indonesia, and then the messenger's in Montreal, right? And then I'm from New York. So that kind of stuff in the messenger bag world is so incredible to me. So I couldn't figure out, but what I thought was, okay, the best way to do it was just to take like 25 different bag companies and just show the diversity of messenger bags, right? And not do a lot of talking. And the book was like a tremendous success. I mean, I was sending bags from my apartment all over the world. It was like pretty crazy. And then from that book, I got invited by Chrome Tokyo to come to Tokyo. All expenses paid.
Yo.
To do a signing in the Chrome Tokyo store. It was mad. So, and then they took it a step further. Chrome and another company called Crank Tokyo said, okay, we love this book so much, we like the concept. We're going to do a messenger bag museum. And it's going to be a pop-up museum in the Chrome store. It's going to stay up for 2 weeks. But the crust of that would be me making an appearance, signing the book, right? Because the book was the inspiration for this particular event. And so Chrome and Crank Tokyo went around the Japanese messenger community and went and got all these different bags, vintage bags from the 80s and the 90s, beat up bags that, incredibly enough, messengers saved them. So I don't know. It's like you got a bag from 1995 or 2000, it's all ripped to pieces, but somehow you still got it. So Chrome didn't make it so that all the bags were Chrome. All the bags were different manufacturers, and it was over 70 different bags, vintage bags that were on display. And one messenger, and their dear Ovid, he's in Toronto, he sent a cargo case full of vintage messenger bags just for the expedition. So it was pretty fun, and this book has just been pretty amazing. My kind of dream, and I talk, every filmmaker I meet always say, I want to do like a documentary about like messenger bags. It's like my dream, but the logistics part is kind of, it would be costly, at least a 6-figure project, just because.
Yo, let's just get Chrome to pay for it. I'll help shoot it. What do you guys say?
Let's pitch it. Let's pitch it. On the air, let's pitch it, man. But anyway, so that was the culture of messenger bags. But I will say all my previous books kind of led into this messenger bag book. And so, and also a lot of people like messenger bags, and no one's really documented it in the way that I'm documenting it. So I'm kind of feeling like a little hole in the community.
All right. Sorry, I was doing a little behind the scenes, a little bit of technical difficulties because of the whole microphone thing.
Okay.
Let's talk about, let's get in here and talk a little bit about, I'm interested in knowing like when you became, you picked up a camera, because obviously you collaborated with people early on, but it was in your photography, and now like this book here, it's your photography too, correct? Yeah. Like I started to see you at events with a camera, and I'm interested to know, the photographer side of you as well. And when did you get into that, and when did you start picking up a camera and actually taking photos and stuff? Because you've been doing these books for a while, but when did you start doing the whole thing yourself?
Okay, so I started shooting myself. Let me back up. Well, my family, my father was an amateur photographer. So I watched my father take pictures, but I never took pictures. But I love photography, just the subject matter. So that said, my moms would buy coffee table photography books, and I would just love photography. So I started, while I was doing messenger work, I kind of started representing photographers and selling their photographs. I would, bring them to agencies like Getty and Corbis just because I had access, and I would try to get them contracts. But that said, I was doing that, and one of my photographer friends who I was representing, his name is Bob Gore, and he has a company called Bob Gore Photography. So about, maybe 11 years ago, he said, "Hey, Kirk, I know you love photography, man. Here's a camera. Here's a digital camera, man. Start shooting yourself. You don't have to be professional. Just shoot." So
like selfies and stuff, or selfies and stuff, or
no? He gave me a digital, like an inexpensive digital camera, brand new. He just said, "Here," and it was actually he gave it to me a couple of days before a monster track, right? One in a monster track. His name is Bob Gore again. I mentioned his name again. It was a digital camera. He said, "Okay, Kirk, I know you like photography again," and he gave me the camera, right? Digital camera as a gift. He said, "Kirk, shoot yourself a little. Just go have fun. Don't sweat it. Just shoot and have fun." So I took this digital camera he gave me, and the first event I shot was a monster track. And I didn't know what I was doing, his photos were all blurry, but what he told me was to keep shooting, and then, you'll get the hang of it. So I shot that monster track, took the photos, some came out good. One of the photos are actually in the Culture Messenger bag. It's this crazy photo with Victor Uma. He's holding this crazy monster track bag. So this is one of the first, I don't know if you can see it, but it's one of the first photos I took with a digital camera. It was Victor Uma holding a monster track bag. That was the winner's bag. Oh, no, wait, you missed it. He lost it. Oh, okay, go back, let's go back. He had it, here it is, right there. There it is, yeah, right there. It's a reload bag. And so that was the first, from my first digital camera, that's one of the shots that came off. And it's kind of blurry, but it caught the bag. So from there, I had this little digital camera. It was like a pocket point and shoot. I started shooting. And then the next thing I shot, I went to Chicago CMWC, and I shot a whole bunch of stuff. And I went there, Terry, with the ideal of doing a book, just shooting as much as I can, and then do a book. So I did this book on the Chicago CMWC. I don't have it with me, but it's not even on my site. But I did it. The photos didn't come out too good. But what was special about it is I had a number of messengers write essays, right? So Kevin Square Bozer wrote an essay. My friend Nico in Chicago, he wrote about the whole setting up of the Chicago CMWC. My friend in Toronto, I'm getting old, forgetting names, but she Sunny D, she wrote an essay for me, and then I had a professor who was writing about messenger culture at NYU. He wrote an essay for me. So that little book had like four essays. Oh, and another writer who worked for Urban Velo, she wrote an essay as well. So, and I mashed it all together with my photos. I made 100 copies, and that was kind of it. So that was the next book I used with this digital camera. And then there, I just kept shooting, and then I started a blog called the Messenger 841 Project after my brand, Messenger 841. And I started a blog, I started posting photos, but I started getting people who liked the blog just because I was covering alley cats, you know, so I was just covering alley cats. But my photos were getting better on this one digital camera. So, so one of the things also, as I continued working in photography, I started liking photography and the tools I could do with it. So it was like, okay, I'm in these kind of events, these unique corners of the world, and I'm one of the few people there with the camera. So I said, okay, you know, I'm already doing journalism stuff, so why don't I add the digital photography into my journalism? And, you know, I have like this dual weapon in telling stories. And so now I'm not just telling the stories through text, I'm adding photo to it. And so, so from that, I started spending more time looking at, you know, studying photography a little bit more, took a few classes here and there, but I just didn't have the time to get too deep into photography because I had to make a living. But, you know, I was still trying to learn. So eventually, I raised enough money to buy a DSLR camera. And then I just started, you know, the last 4 or 5 years I've been shooting on DSLR, and that's kind of like been helping me. But I've been shooting in the automatic mode, so I don't know how to take it out of the automatic mode into all these different modes. Those are slight harder for me to do. But what I do have is I'll cover specific subjects with a unique eye, because I know what a good photo looks like. So if I position myself in different ways and take enough image, I know I could pull like one good image out. And that's using the DSLR. So I've been using that the last 4 or 5 years. That's been helping me. And, you know, I've been using my iPhone as well. So now I have 3 cameras. I have my DSLR. I have a new point and shoot because I broke the first one. I used it so much, it busted up. So I used it. And so, but I had a really good experience with that first digital camera. I was gifted and put out a lot of books with it. And so, but then I bought a new DSLR. And now since I have the iPhone, I could kind of use the iPhone in what I'm doing. And it's good that I use my messenger environment to grasp the street cultures. So I'm shooting like aerosol art, which is kind of graffiti. I like using aerosol art, but you know, I'm shooting that. I'm working on a book about New York street handball, because I used to play handball as a kid. So I'm shooting that. And then I did a book about subway musicians, you know. I have an archive of about 800 different subway performers. And then obviously, I've been shooting urban cycling, you know, since I was gifted that camera. So I have a large collection of urban cyclists. And I'm kind of thinking about doing a book, a gritty book, showing the grittiness of urban cycling. To me, it's a certain personality, that's the urban cyclist, that cats that they're not on the velodrome, they're not doing mountain biking. You know, they ride in the streets, and so I think it's like and this whole track bike thing where they riding the streets, you know, and being like in monster track for 15 years and just seeing that whole street dynamic of that urban cyclist who's not trying to be a competitive cyclist. His thing is riding the streets. And some of these cats, they ride the whole world, you know, just they get sponsors and, you know, they travel. And I just try to catch them when I see these individuals. I just try to catch them in that gritty look and just try to get the portrait that shows, oh, this is what an urban cyclist look like. This is not a Tour de France guy or, you know, a mountain biker. This is a urban cat, you know. And so I'm going through my archives trying to figure out what are the best images. I'm not there yet, but you know, y'all see something. But that's going to be a fun book.
Well, let's segue on. I'm going to show a couple of your books here. We got a few on the desk. I'm just going to give everyone an idea of the depth of, at least you've done more than the books you probably have here, right?
Yes, sure.
Yeah, I'm just going to show off a couple of these and then maybe talk about, you know, the new one, because we got the cover. We have a couple images we want to share up over here. Hopefully that all works out fine. So, yeah, go ahead. Why don't you talk about, I'm just going to pick them up and you can talk about it real quick.
All right, so the Bard in New York is a poetry book. So I'm an urban poet as well. And so it's a book about New York City, written in poetry through the eyes of a messenger, through what I do every day, right? Now, Asphalt Warriors is my kind of bestseller. So it's a book about my 15 years as a courier. So it came out about 7 years ago. And it takes people into, as I mentioned to you earlier about the messenger industry, that book takes you into that. And then that's a book, I did a collaboration with an artist. His name is Greg Ugalde. And he was famous for his monster track flyers. There's illustrations in that book. It's called Messenger Poet. And that's another book about, you know, messenger life, you know, but it includes like illustrations about, you know, the, you know, messenger world.
This is the guy who did like most of the legendary monster track flyers, right?
Right. So Greg Ugalde, he just recently moved to Germany. And that's what I mentioned to you. So that's more of my street photography, New York City portraiture is I'm just going around shooting using my iPhone, my DSLR, my point and shoot, and just shooting the streets as I see it, you know, as a messenger.
I recognize all three of these guys here. Some of these guys hang out in Soho. This guy hangs out right by B&H.
Yeah. Oh, you know him. Yeah. B&H. He's a legend. Yeah. So that's it's a defunct magazine, but Urban Velo covered, and now I was talking about the urban cyclist. Urban Velo covered urban cycling in magazine format. And so and my career kind of deals with this whole culture of like the urban cyclist, and it's kind of driven from messenger culture. You know, this whole messenger culture thing is a global phenomenon. It's not as big as say skateboarding and BMX, because you know, skateboarding is X Games, BMX is X Games, but there's a whole.
They're both in the Olympics.
They're both
in the
coming
Olympics
in the
now.
Yeah. They're both going to be Olympic sports. But the messenger culture has its own world, basically, you know, and it's global. So I try to capture it in books and.
What's up with this one?
So that one's called, I mentioned that earlier, New York Alley Cats. So that's a collaboration with Amy Bozier, photographer, ex-bike messenger, Kevin Bozier, he's known as Squid, and Greg Ugalde, who did the illustration. So there's some illustrations in there with Greg, and that book deals with the early advent alley cat racing, right? So the early 2000s, the late 1990s, when it was just bike messengers kind of racing each other, and it's prior to what you have now, where it's not. You go to alley cat now, it's like not everybody's a messenger, but back then everybody's a messenger. So that's again, that's the culture of messenger bag. That's up on the site right now. It's available, and the new one will be out in a couple of months. So that's.
Let's talk about the new one real quick. I got a couple slides here. So this is the cover here, yeah?
Yeah. So let's get into the cover. So
That's
another one of those stories where I see a bag. I'll shoot it. I'll save the photo for a particular publication, and so on the cover is a championship bag made by Relo, who's based in Philadelphia, but it was for the NACS, the North American Cycle Messenger World Championships. So those 2 championship bags, one for the male and one for the female, and the winners would get that. So they hung the bag up on the race course, and I was able to shoot it. But the applique on that bag was like incredible. I just love the construction that these handmade designers can make these bags.
And this is the cover for the culture of messenger bags.
Too.
The second one, yeah?
Second version,
Yeah,
and then the second one on the back cover is a chrome wall saw that I gave to a graffiti artist to write the title of my book on that bag, Asphalt Warrior, and they hand painted that. Well, he spray painted it on the bag, and I used that on the back cover. So that's a chrome wall saw.
Let's I'm gonna flick through here. I think we have a couple. So tell us a little bit about. These are a couple images that are gonna be in
this next book. Yes.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about it real quick. And
JC. That's JC Ramirez. He's holding the Monster Track bag from, I think, Monster Track 16, if I'm correct. I'm running off the top of my head, but Monster Track 16. So he's holding that. That year, a rider named Alfred Bodie, he won that bag. So that's Chaz.
That's Chaz.
That's right.
I recognize.
You're good. You recognize
the wheels and the scribbles.
Yeah.
What's up to Chaz if he ever sees these?
Yeah, I'm working with Chaz on a collaboration now through Ortley Waterproof. So he's painting up some bags for Ortley that I put that deal together. That's kind of my second job, just putting deals together. But that's Chaz. He's wearing a Ortley Waterproof XL, right, in New York. But that bag is being taken out of circulation, so it's not available no more. That's not the backstory. But anyway, that's Chaz, yeah. Okay, so that's a cool bag I saw in, I think that was, what is that? What does that say? Philadelphia. So I just thought it was a cool bag. It had the North Carolina license plate, so crazy. But it was made by Trash Bag in Minnesota.
Yo, I know this Monster Track. This
you remember that one?
This was the first one that I filmed.
No kidding.
Yeah. Safa took that one and Kim took the
Did you get
winnings.
good footage of Safa?
I think I got pretty damn good footage.
You covered the whole race?
I covered the first couple of checkpoints of the first manifest, that race. I got just enough until they went uptown.
Was the weather
The
bad?
weather was all right. It was raining, and then it stopped, and then it started, and then it like held off for a little bit.
So which alley cat I ran into you when I was doing a checkpoint? It was really dark. It was like on the east side, lower east side.
Oh, that was Monster Track the following year. The following year. I did the whole manifest that time with those guys.
Oh,
with Chaz and Tony, and Chaz and Tony ended up winning. And then I followed Cooper and Safa won.
And Safa. Oh, so you're catching that?
I got a certain kind of way of picking the winners.
Nice. So that's that. Those are championship bags, both made by Reload, and then Kim finally. Well, I don't know if she raced Monster Track too many times.
That was her first race, and she won it.
Oh.
Her first Monster Track race.
Oh,
I actually watched a video she made about it recently, and it's actually inspired me because I've filmed Monster Track twice, and I want to film the women. I want to follow some women around this year.
Okay.
The women usually ride together, I think, in like a pack. There's a group of them, so I want to try to follow them. So any women who are watching this, anyone who knows any women who are racing Monster Track, sorry to interrupt the show, I want to put it out there. I want to film with some ladies. So let me know, drop in some names. I would love to make a Monster Track video with just the ladies. So.
Well, didn't you work with Anna from Mexico City? But you went to Mexico City for that.
Yeah.
But she raced Monster Track how many, a year ago, 2 years?
Yeah, she raced it this year, I think. This is the year she raced.
Oh, that's the year
from this photo. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I remembut taking a group photo of them. Yeah.
Anna's fast.
Oh, she loves fast.
Uh-huh.
But this is interesting, and I photograph these riders, but they're racing urban. So urban in Mexico City, like that's incredible, right? You know, it's not on the dirt, it's not on the track, it's not, you know, you're in traffic. So it takes a certain personality to kind of do that kind of thing. And for women to do it, it's even greater. But but if you look at the direct decorations of the bags, they're amazing. And you look at, I'm more into like capturing the energy. How do you get that bag, right? I'm looking at, that's not something they give it. I mean,
you got to drain yourself.
Yeah, you got to earn that.
There's 3 manifests.
Yeah, you know, there's no check on it neither. So, go ahead, yeah. That's the championship. That's the championship bag, but I put it in a separate, you know, folder. I think that's it. 5. So it's a little teaser. So those who interested in the book, you know, you can pre-order now if you want on my at messenger841.com, and I think I did also send you some images from the first book as well, if you have a, yes, so I mean, Monster Track is interesting because I'm not supposed to be putting questions to you, but Lucas Burnell does similar.
No, you totally put some questions my way. Come on, this is supposed to be a back and forth.
Conversation. Okay, cool. So Lucas Burnell, he gets in that traffic too, man. He can handle not just Monster Track. He can handle races anywhere on the planet. Yeah. You know, and with the camera. So.
Yeah. Lucas is the OG. He's the man. He was there last year, and I went up to him and I felt a little nervous about filming that Monster Track because I saw Lucas was there, and I was like, hey man, I know Lucas, and we've worked on films in the past. And I was just like, you're the OG. You have the right of way. Like if if we're going down the same road or the same, I'll peel off. I'll get out of the way. You know what I mean? Let me know. And he was like, oh, it's all, Lucas. He's like, it's good. It's whatever. We got it. And we actually organically split. I followed Tony. Tony was my guy I wanted to follow. and then Chaz met up with Tony, and Lucas was following Chris and a couple other guys. So there were times when we were racing up 5th to take a left on 42nd where we're in the same shot a couple times.
Okay.
But in that madness, that's where we got split up. We got split up a little bit, and then the rest of the pack went another direction, and Tony and Chaz and myself were pretty much just the 3 of us for a long time on that first manifest.
Wow. So I've heard, and I don't know the details, but I think towards the end, Tony got stopped by officers. That's why he couldn't win the race. But you wasn't filming him at that time.
I stopped after the first manifest. This was my one complaint. This is my one complaint. I mean, I don't even have, I'm complaining from someone who wants to document the race to give people an idea to help share what it feels like to race in Monster Track, is that it doesn't start on time, and I feel like it runs way too late. And once it gets dark, in my opinion, the footage, it's not worth filming anymore because it's too dark. you gotta have some sunlight to make a video. Like, you need light for that. So that's my one criticism for the people who throw monster truck. I wish you would start it or end it when the sun is still out.
Interesting.
But it makes it more epic. I get it.
Interesting. I think they should think about it. I'm thinking about mentioning that to Victor tonight. Say, hey, end it in the day so people can see what's going on, because I wish in all the messenger championships I've covered, the stage is always dark. I can never really get a good photo. So I just gave up.
See what I say?
I just gave up. I gave up. I just said, you know what? I'm going to just capture the image, the energy. When those guys hoist the bag, that's what I'm going to capture. And whatever the photo is, that's what it's going to be. But I understand what you're saying. You know, monster truck is a challenge in itself. I mean, I've been out there in the rain, snow, just seeing it, and the energy there is like incredible for the top 20 guys. Just like they're into it, you know. And but you, as a writer, and you're covering like this urban cycling space, how do you see it versus like other sports? You as a video documentarian, I mean, it's a dangerous sport too. I mean, I'm very sad that we lost two female riders last year. Pretty brutal, and
we've lost a lot of people this last year. You know.
So do you see it as a? I guess you have to see it as a sport, but it's a different kind of a sport where you know it's dangerous, you know, even for you with the camera, right?
Yeah, I definitely think about that. It's there's certain risks, you know, that you got to take, and I think the sketchiest situations usually happen or are in racing situations. When I'm just following people, like for a hotline or something, it's a little more coordinated. We know our route. When you're documenting a race like that, no one knows the route yet. There's many wild cards because there's so many people out there. So what I try to do is, no offense to anyone in the back of the pack or the middle of the pack, I try to get the hell out of the middle of the pack right away and try to shoot to the front and find the front guys immediately, because the mistakes happen when there's a bunch of people riding around. I mean, you guys saw, these guys, you saw Lucas's footage where there was a crash, and those guys were not in the middle of the pack. Those were all the front runners of the race that split off. And when those guys were riding close together, you know, 3 people went down. And those guys were, Jason took second place. Crusher has been always up there, top 5. So things happen. So I try to get the hell out of being in a huge pack. That's my advice. That's how I try to stay, stay safe. Is just eliminate the possibilities of wild cards, you know. So just try to get into the front and get away from all that stuff.
Wow. So, but you must have some skill at handling cars too. Like you're controlling. I mean, you're in traffic. I mean, I've heard Alfred Bodie speak about the skills out there, and he would say he controls the cars. So he's on the bike, he sees the cars, but he's making motions where he controls where that car is going. The car is not controlling him. He's controlling his situation.
Yeah,
so,
you kind of have to. I think you gotta have to do that a little bit. You know, you don't want cars. You know, you can take control over a lane basically and make a car go around. The best way is just to flow through traffic without disrupting anything, because I think that's the most efficient and fastest.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Right. And how do you see red lights? They're just there, or it's an obstacle, you don't stop. So you must don't. I mean, the red lights are there, but you guys keep going.
It's a little easier for me because I'm filming, so there's someone in front.
Oh, so you're far in front. Okay.
Yeah, because it looks. it's definitely a little easier for me because someone in front is making the first move, so I have more time to predict. But there are times when there's not a big enough gap for me to go through. So that's when I have to deviate from my original plan to get through, you know? The idea is just not to get dropped by the person I'm filming.
Oh, that's my next question.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask my question was, do you get dropped?
I have been dropped in the past. I have. I filmed with Safa in Mexico City, and he had to wait for me a few times. Just one, I was super tired, and he's an animal. Two, I really was on the wrong bike. I had huge flared out drop bars, gravel bars that went out. They were 48 millimeters, and they flared out to like 52s on the bottoms. And we were going through some tight traffic, and it was rough.
Right.
I also had some huge tires on my bike, so had a lot of things working against me. But he's an animal. I've been dropped by him, and then also Mario dropped me pretty well. On second Ave, he was pushing a massive gear, and I have no excuse. I caught up to him afterwards, and I was like, man, I feel like I'm breathing glass right now. My lungs it felt good, but it hurt, you know?
Yeah, wow. That's amazing. So, but Lucas, he rides a road bike with brakes. Are you riding a bike?
I ride a single speed with brakes.
With brakes.
I do ride track bikes. I just don't film. It's not as you don't get as stable as a shot, and you also can't hold someone's wheel as good on a track bike because you don't want to be in between, two cars going into a red light. There's nowhere to deviate, and someone walks in front. That person's sliding his brakes in front of you. You only have a certain time to make a move. So having some brakes definitely helps control the speed and keep the shot nice and smooth. If you have to brake, now I'm adjusting my body, and then the shot gets shaky. So I find it better to ride. I don't like filming with gears though. I'd rather be on a single speed for sure.
But you have the brakes for balance.
Yeah, exactly.
And then if you get dropped, you get dropped. You don't worry about it. That's very interesting. So that's good. I'm glad I asked you some questions about that because I've interviewed Lucas for Urban Velo, and just hearing him talk about racing the world and the urban cycling scene, and it's amazing. And so I'm definitely love documenting messenger culture and all the different aspects of it. Another area I do is I do cycling caps. Just more of the fun stuff where messengers have kind of, to me, pushed the cycling cap design. This is design part where it's not just a logo on a cap. It'll have graphic, it'll have art, and messengers are kind of like pioneers of that wave of design. Design's pretty much a part of what I do as well. So the books, the urban cycling design, a lot, even Monster Truck. Monster Truck is trying to put flair into some of their gear, so there's a big design kind of aspect to this culture as well. So keep that in mind, you urban cyclists, if you want to, get into the design and show some of your graphic artwork. There's a market for you too in urban cycling.
Definitely is. I'm looking for some graphic help myself, so maybe one day we'll collaborate.
Yeah, we'll talk. Yeah.
So let's transition because I feel like we can give some people a few minutes to gather up their questions, and we can have some live question and answering.
Sure.
While you guys think of some questions, I just want to. I'm going to play a video courtesy of Matt. It's Caesar, right?
Yeah, MattSezer. Yes.
MattSezer.
Yeah.
He's a filmmaker. He made a video with Kurt for the Bicycle Film Festival. It premiered last year, and it's just up on his YouTube now. And he sent me the video to play during this. So those of you who still want to understand a little bit more about what it is to be a foot messenger and this lifestyle, this documentary definitely hits everything you need to know. So I'm just gonna He's got a little blurb here, a little description of the film. I'll read it to you guys. And the film's called Speedwalking NYC. For the past 20 years, 59-year-old foot courier Kirk Boone has been documenting New York City bike messenger culture, all while walking 7+ miles every day. His passion and excitement for the culture brings positivity to the messenger community in the face of bleak economic realities of courier work. So, yeah, that being said, let's kick this off, eh?
You have a pickup?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
For that 1 minute that I'm delivering that package, I'm the most important person in that moment. I have to actually think that this is important. If I don't, then I'm not like enjoying the service that I'm providing. It's a satisfaction. I'm not thinking like, oh, okay, this next guy could do that. Nah, I could do that.
What's up? Good to see you.
Cargo day?
Yeah.
My name is Kirk Boone. I'm 59 years old. Been a foot courier in New York City over 20 years.
Kurt has always been interested in the culture of bike messengers. Even though he's a walker, he was this person who's like always coming out to events and supporting, having a good time being part of things.
When there's downtime, bike couriers and foot couriers, we socialize. Talk about the job a little, the job virtually the same. I was in corporate America. I had a dream to be like this corporate executive at a Fortune 500 company. But that didn't occur because of events in society around me. And the only thing that kind of stuck with me was this courier work for some strange reason. I just selected 2 jobs. So I have one job picking up at 55 Mercer Street. The company's called Zimmerman Soho, and it's coming back down here to World Trade Center. That's going to Vogue magazine. And then the other job picking up for Herdity brand, that's going to 45 Wall Street. I should be able to knock both of them out within an hour. They have the addresses 305 Broadway, and I don't think that's right.
Oh, it might be, are you calling UPS?
The client informed me that the address in the manifest was wrong. So now it affects my time schedule as far as my other deliveries. I had to go to a new address. It took close to another additional hour to do it. I had to backtrack, so the job paid me $19.38 for 2 hours of work. So that's roughly $9 and change, less than minimum wage. It's a tough way to make a living. In the position I'm in, I'm an independent contractor. I don't have health benefits. I don't get paid vacations. I pay my own expenses. My meal plan isn't, say, the best. I don't have a wife. I don't have my own kids. I didn't choose it per se, but not in the sense that I'm gonna blame somebody, because I'm African American. So many of my friends got hurt, got killed. Some ended in jail. But if I said, oh, if I'm gonna blame society, that's like kicking myself in the mouth.
Life is tough, and living in the city can be tough. You can forget about the magic, and Kurt's one of those people who helps us remember the magic on a regular basis.
Alley cats, cycle fast, cycle slow. The race is on. Down city streets. Who is the fastest messenger in New York City? Fixed gear wannabes or fixed gear masters? I'm like all in to the bike messenger culture scene. The biggest part of these bike messenger races is socializing with fellow messengers in the community. It didn't matter what kind of messenger you were. It was still like a community.
Kurt's smile is infectious. He'll come to someone's event, he'll take pictures of people, and then he'll post them up, and it makes people feel good about themselves. It makes them feel happy that they're part of something, and what we do is special out here.
Those books, my father's been showing me those since like age 6. I'm from Jersey.
That's a trip.
And all my life, I was like, yo, these dudes are superheroes. I need to get out and do this.
Nice.
I always viewed messengers as like superheroes, and the bags were the capes. Like, I just always thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Now couriers have a certain amount of respect and cachet. Okay, I'm making low wages, but at the end of my career, I hope that I can create my personal brand. I've been in the media, you know, I've been in the New York Times, been on the cover of the International Courier magazine. So I think, you know, I've gotten recognition for being this courier. You know, it's just that it doesn't pay a whole lot of money, and it's a tough job. I just gotta tell them to make it 3 envelopes, cause like what it is, it'll say 2, and then if I deliver 3, you'll ask, well,
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll tell them to change it to 3.
Okay.
Good? All right, thank you, man.
Thank you so much.
I just picked up from 47 East Houston Street, and the drop-off is at 131 Barrett. So the way I'm routing this delivery, since there's no direct route on the subway, is I walk it. And this walk is about 1 mile, but I usually do it pretty quick. I have a delivery. I'm in the lobby.
Can you please bring it up to the 10th floor? We're in suite 1034.
I've been working for the super rich. Been making deliveries on Park Avenue, Fifth Avenue. You know, hotels could start, you know, $400, $500 a day. A dinner could cost easily $200. And I go by these places all the time. And I say, all right, you know, what would it be like to have a condominium on Park Avenue versus me living in a small apartment in Newark? It's the same thing to me. It's just money, you know? So, you know, I'm enjoying my life as much as that guy that's living well, you know, what you would call living well. I'm not gonna let this system stop me from doing what I want to do. Next week, I'm being flown out to Japan. They're hosting a party for my photographs. Having fun in Tokyo. This is the messenger bag expedition right over there. It's getting ready to start.
Yeah, nice macho!
So it's quite far from the humble beginnings of how I got into this bike scene. Right there, one garment bag. It has his name, right? Thank you. I just finished my last delivery. I'm tired. I just did like roughly 11 miles on foot. Did 8 jobs for roughly $130, which is around $16, $17 an hour. Messenger aesthetics, urban chaos. As I see what I do every day, this is what it is. Down on Wall Street and on Fifth Avenue and on 6th Avenue, on the east side and on the west side, pushing packages down city streets, urban chaos, messenger aesthetics. And street culture has really made me want to kind of stay a courier. I look at it as, okay, this has got to end at some point, right? I can't walk 7 miles every day for the rest of my life, but I could tell stories about that.
What's your end goal? Like, are you guys gonna keep taking pictures of messengers and culture?
My end goal is to put these photos up in one of these skyscrapers, so when you go in the lobby, see these big photos of all these messengers. It's like, obviously they send us to the back, but in my dream, we're not in the back, we're in the front.
It's exciting and dangerous. Think that you can hang with us? We don't give a fuck, cause we're New York City messengers. Messengers. New York City messengers.
So yeah, man. Thank you again to Matt for making that and sharing that and letting me put that up for the hello. No one can hear me.
Yeah.
Man, come on. Here, let me fix that.
There it is.
There we
it is.
go.
Yeah,
There's my terrible audio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you,
yeah,
Matt.
thank you again to Matt for sharing that with us and allowing us to play that. And
Yeah, Matt,
thank you.
thanks so much, Matt.
I dropped you should check out his YouTube channel and his website. It's in the description of this video. I will drop it right now in the live chat so you guys can easily click it. Man, after seeing that work that Matt did, I want to collaborate with him, man. I want to work on something with him.
He wants to collaborate with you.
Oh, there we go.
Do you know that?
Ah, there we go.
There you
Matt,
go.
if you're watching this, man.
Yeah, I think
I
he's-
didn't know that you edit and stuff. I thought, that piece was shot and edited really well. And then when I saw that you edited it too, I was like, man.
Yeah,
gotta work
yeah.
on
I mean, he's NYU film schools like put out the best people.
Yeah. So yeah, man, this is a chance to jump in here and ask Kurt some questions. A little quick Q&A, and then we're gonna sign out for today's show. So let me know if you guys have any questions. I'm gonna go back in the chat and see if there's anything that is dropped in here. Until then, let's see. We got Stone Tone in the comments. He's in here giving me help on the levels.
Okay.
And he's also saying, if we were in a foot race, you and I, that you'd smoke me.
Oh, possibly.
Probably.
Probably.
Let's see. Okay, here's a question from Tony, Stone Tone. He's saying, would you and Crazy Nick do a photo show together?
Definitely, man. I mean, me and Crazy Nick talk about collaborating all the time. For some reason, it hasn't come off. But now that you bring it up, maybe I can go to my friends at Chrome and maybe make something happen. So I'll give Nick a call over the weekend, man. Thanks for that cool idea. I think that makes sense. That would be fun too.
The hot tip. The hot tip. Tony's asking, what's up with the sad day in the Bronx Book?
Oh man, how do you know about that, man? That's pretty cool. Well, anyway, I'm glad you mentioned it. It's a work in progress, man. It's a work in progress. I have a lot of poems ready. It's just mainly writing the essay about the 40 years I've been documenting hip hop and urban culture. It's just, the essay is a hard thing for me to write because it's so much tragedy in it that, I try to write realistically about what's going on in the street, and I don't want to gloss over everything, but I do want to make it in a presentable format where I'm telling stories about these events in urban culture, not hiding anything, just telling real events, and making sense of it. And so the poetry is helpful, but the essay is really, really hard. So I think that's what's kind of blocking me. I'm kind of just looking to find maybe like a month I can get on an island somewhere and just write the essay for A Sad Day in the Bronx. Because it's a very important book for me, and it's something I really want to get out, but it has to be right. So right now, the essay is not right, so it's still on hold.
All right. Harry wants to know, Harry the God of Speed, he wants to know what shoes you use for walking 7 miles a day.
Well, I'm blessed right now. I've been supplied with footwear for 10 years from Converse. So my favorite...
You got a Converse deal? No, man.
My favorite shoe that I asked for was the Weapon. It was a skate shoe because of the cushioning. I could really do a lot of strong walking, hit a lot of pavements with the Weapon because it had a cushion, and it was good for the skateboarders, but it was good for me as a walker. So I spent like 2 or 3 years, working with the Weapon, and now I've been, last 2 years, 2.5 years, I've been on the One Star, but since Converse is part of Nike now, they added a lot of cushioning to the One Star now. So it's very similar to the Weapon. Actually, I feel the One Star is even more comfortable than the Weapon. But the Weapon high top was good because it had a nice, like, it could hold my ankles so I could, I could walk on cracks and stuff like that and not feel it, But the low tops, low stars, the One Stars, I mean, do good. I just got to watch what I'm stepping on, and but it gets the job done. But
You got to watch your step.
yeah, it gets the job done. But that's primarily what I've been using the last 10 years. I did a couple of years with Chrome. So I was wearing a Chrome shoe for a couple of years.
Were those the clipless ones?
No, the
Come
clipless
on.
one.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
You
the
wore the
clipless shoe.
clipless?
I
You walk
wore the
around in the
Chromes.
clipless?
Yeah, the Chromes. That's right. They were pretty good. They weren't that bad. I mean, obviously, they don't have the technology that a Nike Converse has, but it's a good shoe. I wore it, and big shout out to Chrome for the support, and big shout out to Converse as well. Oh, put some light on me, man.
Get some more light in here.
Yeah. That's
We lost the sunlight.
good
back
question,
there,
my
so-
man.
Yo, so we got Fletch is asking what book, like if he was to buy a book, what book should he buy first?
It depends on what for right now. What's in stock right now is just a couple of books. So I got a couple of books on back order. So Asphalt Warriors on back order, but you can order it. I think that's a good book if you're real interested in the whole aspect of the messenger industry, not just foot or bike, but the drivers, the owners. Like the owners are characters on their own. The owners of messenger companies are kind of tough dudes, man. You think the bikers and the runners are tough? The owners are really tough as well. A lot of them rule with I call it an iron fist, where like, yo, you can't step up to them. You step up to them, they fire you or whatever. Like they feel, the owners feel that there's another courier around the corner. So you're not like they need you, per se. They need you, but if you're too bold or you like stepping up, they don't need you. That's how they see it. I don't feel that way, but that's an aspect. But you'll get that aspect in Asphalt Warrior. So that's a full story. But if you like poetry, you can get it to Bard in New York, or if you want to check out my photography around New York, pick up New York NYC Street Portraiture, and then my latest book, if you're into messenger bags, or you want to get a book that I think is collectible, buy the culture of messenger bags. And I sign all my books, so they all come with my signature, and the shipping's pretty cheap. Like right now I have a special on for you guys. If you order the culture of messenger bag now, shipping is free. So that's a pretty good deal. But yeah, but all my books have descriptions on it, so kind of, those are my recommendations, but kind of pick what you want. Thank you so much for the question.
And a couple final questions here. Charles Foster Kane wants to know, I want to know this too actually, how was your experience in Japan? Because from the footage in Matt's documentary, it looks like you had a hell of a time. So
oh my God.
tell us about that.
Yeah, Japan was off the hook, man. It's my first 16-hour flight nonstop. So that's the first thing. I got through it. So that was pretty cool. So, but from the minute I landed, it was nonstop. Because the escorts, Chrome had some escorts for me. So I wasn't walking the streets on my own. So
Wait, what kind of escort you talking about here?
I'm talking about escort with the Chrome van. It had Chrome on it. This guy,
I thought you were talking about women escorts. I was like,
No,
oh, let's try to keep this safe here. This is YouTube, man. Come
I'm
on.
sorry, man.
No, I'm playing.
It's the brand van, man. That was my escort, But anyway, they told me I couldn't walk the streets while I was there. They didn't want to lose me, right? So basically, They took me around to a lot of the bike shops, Blue Lug. Took me to the Supreme store and stuff, and prepped me for the party and stuff, and took me to a messenger company. You know, a surprise visit to this messenger company, and took me around. We had some food, and it was pretty amazing. And I don't know how to explain it, but it was a tremendous trip. I was there for 6 days, and they gave me so much respect and adulation that, you know, I didn't know that was there. You know what I mean? I'm here in New York. I'm doing my thing in New York. You know, I'm documenting the culture, and then for the Japanese street culture, you know, by way of Chrome, say, hey, come out. You know, we want to like meet you and know about your story. And they had interviews set up to us for me as well. So they did this one magazine did a feature on me. It's called Hidden Champion, and Chrome set that up. And they also Hype Beast covered it, Popular Street Culture magazine. So it was a pretty awesome experience. I really look to go back again, and I loved it, man. It was by the way, I did since I was a subway rider, I did ride the train one time. Yeah, as a treat.
You have to ride the train in Japan. It's an experience, man.
Yeah. That was cool.
All right, we got a good question here from Harry, the God of Speed. What's your craziest day out working, delivering? He says he bets there's many, but like, what's the one that's the top of your head?
Okay, the craziest day, and I'll always remember it. I was working for this company called Mobile Parcel Carriers. They're still around. It's short for Mobile Messenger, but that day, it rained non-stop from morning to the evening. Just totally drenched. And I was walking miles and miles. My pants were soaked, and my phone was soaked. And why I remember that day the most, because I was so soaked and drained, is that it destroyed my phone. My phone was dead. The rain was just so heavy that it just got through everything I was wearing. My pants, my bags, and like I got home, the phone went pop, dead. So it's like, it destroyed my phone. So that really made me think about that day, and I always remember it, that's the day, my hardest day, where my phone got destroyed.
Man, I was expecting to hear like something crazy, like your messenger bag caught fire and someone tried to bring an elephant onto a subway or something like that.
I have a lot of, like the guest, the question, I have a lot of crazy stories where, I mean, dispatchers are on the line telling me I'm moving too slow, move your ass, kind of shit like that, where they like I was mentioned to you, this is an industry thing. So there's just, you working for somebody, and somebody's giving a request for the messenger. But some people are stupid, where they just say, yo, we need the messenger now, like right now. So it's like, yo, let the messenger breathe, man. Give us 5 minutes. Let us get there. But people are like, you're Superman. And so, and dispatchers will believe the client and say, yo, the client's calling, move your ass. I wonder, like, are you on the street? No, the dispatcher's not on the street. So it's like, that's one of the parts about being a messenger and getting in fights with your dispatcher and like telling him like, yo, chill out a little bit, because they're not on the streets. They're not feeling the cars. They're not feeling the weather. They're not feeling you. So, I mean, they feel the client because the client is paying them the bill, But I don't see the money until after they get the money. So it's a pretty crazy situation. I think, like Matt in my documentary, Speed Walking NYC, he kind of alludes to I guess you can call it abuse of young people being couriers, being on demand, being pressured, but the money ain't that good, and if you get hurt, it's on you. You know what I'm saying? Your family gets nothing. And so it's a dangerous job, and I mean it has its glory side, but you got to also realize like at the end of the day, if you get hurt, it's on you. So you kind of got to keep that in the back of your mind.
All right, we're going to do something a little different here. Now that I got your microphone, sorry, man. We got one more question. Sorry, the batteries on my shitty mic just died, so we're going to do this one mic style. All right, so we got a final question here. We're going to take 3 more questions. I mean 3 more, not one more. This one's from Felipe. He wants to know your opinion about traffic fights. I got into a fight with the taxi driver because he tried to run me over and wasn't any good. Yet these days, there's no respect for the other's life. Just fights in traffic.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. From my perspective, I've been doored on the streets, but I didn't take it out with the driver. But I've seen messengers getting fights on the streets, with drivers and stuff. But myself, I try to keep it calm and try to, almost like bikers, when you're on the streets, like try to control the driver. So me as a runner, I'm in my own lane. So if I have to like bang on the window and say, yo, look where you're going, I'll do it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not looking to get into a serious conversation. I'm a confrontation. I'm more doing it to protect myself, but also to make the driver aware, hey, I'm out here. Be careful. You know what I'm saying? Because if I don't make the driver aware, 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna get hurt. But I'm not looking to get confrontation. It's more of me like being careful, and when issues arise, tap the driver, make the driver aware. Hey, you're going to hit somebody. You may hit me. Chill out, slow up, do something, but make yourself very visible on the streets. Make yourself very visible and try not to, if possible, get into a physical confrontation, because you never know what's going to happen.
Skirt. My turn for the mic. All right, this is the last question, so we can wrap this up. I got a video that I randomly pulled from Vimeo that was posted 6 years ago. I haven't even watched it. We're going to end with that, but first we're going to take this last question from Roma Rides. So he's asking, what's your best tip for a newbie bike messenger? Hey, he's a foot messenger, man. Come on. Well, from your perspective, what is your best advice for a bike messenger?
Okay. Since I know how to ride a bike, I would say be prepared to be alert of your surroundings. Think proactively. So think about safety kind of first. So you always want to think safety. When you start your day, think about safety. Think about when you enter traffic, be aware of your surroundings, and don't let the package be the most important thing when you're out there. I mean, to the company, the package is kind of important, almost more so than the courier, because you as a courier are expendable. And what I mean by that, if you call in sick, you break a leg, you know what? They got another cat that's going to come in the next day or that same day and cover for you. So when you're a courier and you're expendable, you got to think that you're the boss, cover your ass. So have fun, right? But think about just cover your ass, ride safe, and have fun, learn as much as you can, because courier work is not a career. It's just kind of like a job. So do it, have fun, and then maybe just move on to something else. But learn as much as you can, and more importantly, ride safe.
Well said. Be in the moment. Be present. You know what I mean? Yeah. Those are all great words of advice. All right. Well, I want to thank you for coming in on the show.
No sweat, man. I'd love to do it again.
Looking forward to seeing the next book. I know you're going to have a party and a release and all that. Thank you guys for jumping in and joining us for this chat. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Thank you, Matt, for providing that. We're going to do a little outro with another video by Kirk, and I have no idea how good or bad this video is, and I don't even know who did it, but we'll credit them hopefully at the end. Brendan Vale, maybe. It's on Vimeo. So yeah, thank you guys again. Oh, we're over here. I guess I can go here. Hey, thank you guys again, and we'll see you on the next upload. Peace.